When life gives you lemons, why not build a console app to sell lemonade? Let's mash on that.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Asp.Net Monsters. In today's episode, we are going to talk about some of the greatest lemonade recipes throughout time and solve the question, can I add a little bit of lime to my lemonade and get away with it?
Oh, that's heresy here. I don't know if
Depends,
we
I
can.
think.
I don't know. I don't know. Before we get into it, I'm gonna this actually just popped up onto my feed the other day, so I thought I just had to share this. That is brilliant.
He's going to be successful in life, I can tell.
Right? Future in sales. Okay. Have you guys ever played the game Lemonade Stand? Do you guys remember this? I know I'm a little bit older than you guys.
Do vaguely remember something similar on my Pocket PC 2003.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, there was a Dell Axiom that I had. And now you've mentioned it, I'm remembering vaguely playing a lemonade selling game.
Nice.
I know nothing about this game.
Okay, well, for me, it was something that I first played on the Commodore 64, but it was actually something that started long before that on the Apple platform, Apple II days, and it was written in Apple Basic. And I came across the code not too long ago. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to actually create something. I wanted to teach my daughter, she's been coding in a number of environments. And I wanted to say, hey, let's build this app together. Here's a great one. It's got, a really good boundary for as far as features. And there's only really, the gameplay is pretty simple. It's the kind of thing we should be able to write together. But in my, as we started getting into it, things like functions and classes and stuff like that started to get really confusing and burdensome really quickly. And I started to think back how I was learning how to write code or how I learned how to write code. And it was by actually retyping other people's things that we used to get magazines in the mail and we'd use that for typing the code into the C64, and it was great. And I didn't understand all of it, but I had something that I still made, so I was able to type that in, and I was able to make something. And so it kind of we moved quickly past this thing of being able to do things together, where I wasn't just like, "Oh, move over, daughter, I will now write code for you." And what we wanted to do instead was actually, I wanted to write the whole thing, and then I'm going to write an article over top of it that allows her to read through, explain the pieces that are actually relevant. Okay, now we're going to get some input from the user, and now we're going to make a decision about how many glasses of lemonade were sold, but not going to really worry about some of the other things like classes and functions until later on. So that's kind of where I started. It's kind of where I got rooted, and it might work for me and maybe not for other people, but that's just, it is what it is. So here we be. I created a repository on GitHub called Lemonade Stand, and there was actually somebody who found the original code from the 1979 Apple II days, and they put it on a blog back, I want to say in 2006. And unfortunately, there's no license for it. The entire code actually came as a PDF document. So I took a couple of steps to kind of codify it and turn it into something that could be branched and improved upon and pull requested and those kinds of things. And kind of rebuilt it and got the basics of it working again. And so it kind of looks something like this. Just a few simple files here. I actually have another solution where if I just open up the folder actually where I have everything stored, I have a reference set of reference documentation that I kind of put together. So for example, here's the original Lemonade source PDF from 2006. And so from this, I was able to scan through it. There's a really handy section at the end that kind of, they had taken some notes on some of the variables. So this helped a little bit understanding where some of that code, how some of that code was working, et cetera, et cetera. And there's some things that we don't have that were kind of free back in the day. So when you're working in Basic, you have some things like playing music or playing sounds and turning it into music, drawing on the screen, like just boxes and things like that, or even using ASCII art in full screen mode. Those are things that are a little bit easier to do, just with some poking some values into memory and then loading those back on the fly to play them on the sound chip and stuff like that. And those were actually, like, I would say, kind of free back in the day, and they're not available to us in something like a console app in C#, but maybe a longer term goal for it. So I had this code, and basically, I'll go back to that. We'll go into this. I had the original RBP file. And if I just open that up in Notepad, I believe this was, something that would be loaded by the Basic editor back in the day. And there are things that resemble code at some parts, but I wasn't able to do anything with it. I wasn't able to find the original compiler. So the best thing that I could do is kind of read through it, build an understanding of the source, and then kind of just say, okay, I'm going to rebuild the app. So in a nutshell, looks something like this. I'll just F5 it. We'll play a round of it, just so I can show you what I did. Welcome to Drink Stand. We're going to have one player. Today will be sunny. In fact, it'll always be sunny just because I don't have that random piece of weather built in yet. However, it does calculate with a modifier, and there's a little bit of randomness built in when it's a certain type of weather condition. And it says, how much will you charge for your glass? I'm going to say 50 cents. And it says, how many glasses will you make? And I'm going to say 100. And then how many signs will you make? And I'll make 5. And each of these will have an influence on how much we can sell. So I kind of calculate some modifiers to kind of help change how many drinks will be sold. So with 50 cents, I have a 0.3 modifier. So what that's kind of saying is, if you think of it in terms of a percentage, it's just basically applying these against like a base number of sales, an average typical number of sales. But then my signs pulls it up by 170%. And so I sold I made 100 drinks. I sold 14. Sales were $7. Total costs were $17.50. So I lost $10.50 and I have 50 cents left. And that's basically the gist of it. So you have to make some choices, and there's a little bit of guidance and some help. So I can, we could keep playing. I'll just say no, and then away we go. So anyways, that's the gist of the game. It's not very complicated. Every day you try and have a little bit more money. After a certain number of time, mom stops giving you free sugar because she realizes the industrial capitalist that you are, and you have to start paying for your sugar. So the cost of your lemonade starts to go up a little bit. But then after that, I was like, hey, where could we take this next? Like if I started to complicate this, what would that look like? And I started thinking, I could add I could make this like a server side thing. I actually wrote the game engine so that it's just a static class that just accepts, the input for the day and the existing game state, and it just moves it forward based on the inputs. So I was like, okay, what if we did this like on the server or something like that? And what if I added an HTML interface, and then I could add the music and I could add graphics and everything? But then I got to thinking, wouldn't it be fun to show this to Dave and Simon? Because I know, like, of everybody I know, these are probably the two people who can help me over-engineer this the most. And that's where you guys come in.
I think you've come to the right place.
Have I? Okay, here we go. Well, I have just the thing for you guys, a notepad, and we're going to start to take some notes here as to how we can make Lemonade Stand a modern game. And there's no, I mean, I'm going to regret saying this, but there's virtually no limit.
Okay. Wow.
Right. Well, I mean, no modern game can be complete without microtransactions.
That's true.
So got
Microtransactions.
to
Okay.
really like ruin the gameplay and put it in a place where my kids are constantly coming and bugging me to buy them some stupid lemonade hat.
Right. Okay. So you could like so we're talking there must be some kind of UI and you would basically buy costumes
Sure.
Or
that
Or
improve
like new
sales.
lemonade recipes, or
Buy new lemonade.
fancier signs, I guess, for your stand. Kind of thing. Bling out your
Improve.
stand.
yeah,
Buy a printing press to lower your
bribes.
sign costs.
Bribes for the police force so that they shut down all roads but the one that goes past the lemonade stand.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Bribe police to shut down roads. Okay, so I'm sure we could get completely carried away with microtransactions, but I love this. I love this. Yeah, implementing a payment engine. There's no challenges with that at all. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess if we're doing transactions, then we're gonna need some kind of identity to protect people's financial information. Identity. Support logging in. Okay. Any wild ideas on identity? I could just use Azure AD.
You could.
If you're going for maximum complexity, yeah. Makes sense.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. The game itself, any changes that we could make to
Well, you want to go really big on the ability to scale this thing out and how you architect it. So you're probably going to want to use something like Orleans, maybe?
Okay, and so back me up, familiarize me with Orleans.
Orleans is kind of a like .NET-ish centric implementation of the actor pattern. I think it was built originally for like the Halo game, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like a good excuse to use it.
Okay,
you
and
should
how?
probably back the whole thing with like a Cosmos DB database.
Yeah.
Okay. Game states store in Cosmos DB. This is gonna be interesting. I'm gonna have a few articles to write, I think, you guys. Okay. So talk to me about the actor pattern. How do you guys see that being used in the context of this game?
So you'd end up with probably an actor for each player, and then you would send actions or events to those actors and have them respond to them. So like price of sugar goes up might be something that you would send universally to all your actors, or it might be something that you focus on like individual actors, get that message.
Increases or send actor specific centric events like would that be like for daily decisions?
Yeah. So like if you had something that happened every day, so like if you're doing something where you let people play once a day, maybe you send like an unlock event based on some timer that says now you can play again.
Okay.
So kind of like you can only play Wordle once a day, right? So same sort of deal.
Right.
Except for Wordle unlocks everybody simultaneously, but for you, maybe you unlock people exactly 12 hours after they last played. That's another one of those places where you can integrate evil microtransactions, where you can pay to play a day more frequently or earlier.
Change your price. Yeah, get a notification on like an SMS notification when the weather changes. It gets unexpectedly hot, and then for the low price of 25 Bytecoins.
Yeah, whatever our in-game credit system is, which of course you get to build. I mean, you should probably build, if you're going to have an in-game currency, you should probably fork Ethereum. Build a
Okay,
Basic
okay, I
currency.
said virtually unlimited, but I think that like creating a new cryptocurrency is probably outside of the scope of what we're doing here.
I don't
That's
know.
where you draw the line.
That's
Okay.
where I draw the line
Didn't
is crypto. NFTs
Wasn't
are in, obviously.
Dogecoin built in like an hour by somebody?
On the next episode of the ASP.NET Monster, Simon is going to create Lemon Coin.
Is there? I'd be amazed if there isn't already a lemon coin.
Okay. So what about
There is already a lemon coin.
oh, you're joking. Well,
course.
maybe that's what we would accept then for
Like JavaScript frameworks at this point.
okay, so that's game engine. What about game UI? So
Ooh. So there is a really cool UI framework for web that I've been looking at called A-Frame.
okay.
And it is a WebXR framework that allows you to build UIs for VR headsets
Okay, so
in a relatively easy way.
so we're gonna do some relatively easy virtual reality.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Why not?
A,
So you could be standing there
A-frame.
and you've got your lemonade stand in front of you and you pick up and squeeze the lemons, throw them at people.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So now we got game UI and we've got some gameplay stuff. Squeezing lemons. Okay. Hey.
Yeah, we should probably have a few little like micro games inside of it. Like I'm thinking about that hunting game from Oregon Trail.
Oh yeah.
Taking ourselves.
Oh right.
You could have like a one where you go and pick lemons from an orchard.
Picking lemons. Oh my gosh. Okay. Wasn't that
like it.
Oregon Trail one? Wasn't that like you had to like push in the direction of the deer and stuff, like with the arrow keys
but
on the number pad or
Mostly
something?
the buffalo. Yeah.
The buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you wanted to get. I mean, yeah, you could shoot a few rabbits, but you're not going to get much meat. It wasn't worth the bullets.
There you go.
You
Okay.
could only carry 100 pounds of meat back, which at the time I was like, that's ridiculous. And now I'm like, holy smokes, he's carrying 100 pounds of meat? That's amazing.
You know, being in baking now and seeing my wife haul around with a couple of bags of flour at a time, those are 50 pounds each. If you're going to be out hunting buffalo, I think you want to take my wife. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay. Well, this escalated quickly, friends. We have...
So when can we play it?
Well, I'm accepting pull requests. So we'll see. Okay, so here's the thing. We're going to move the game state and store it in Cosmos DB. You're going to be able to create an account of some kind, and we're going to back that with Azure AD or so. I'm not married to that. We'll find something maybe easier to log in with. We're going to have a front end that allows you to squeeze lemons and pick lemons using the A-Frame WebXR framework. We will use Orleans to create an actor for the player. There must be an actor for any given instance of a game. Or maybe there's just like the game, like the Wordle kind of approach. But then there'll also be an actor for every event. Oh gosh. There could be geolocation in this, so you're competing with people in your neighborhood. Local leaderboards. Never mind. We're getting. I think it feels like starting to feel like scope creep.
Yeah, I like where that's going though, because then you could really build a sophisticated economics engine in terms of supply and demand and what the population of the local area is.
I love it. There'll be universal events like, I mean, that could be sugar prices or lemon prices. And then actor-centric events like the daily decisions that they make in order to advance the game state will... And then the microtransactions, because why not? Including, there's got to be NFTs. I think there's got to be, like, you got to be able to purchase NFTs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Naturally.
Okay, well, that is, I mean, as much as I was anticipating, probably more for some stuff that I have to work on over the next couple of days. Or maybe my 2022 blogging series. Something like
Looking
that.
forward to it.
Yeah. And if anybody else has any ideas out there on what we might implement in this, because I'm thinking Dave and Simon are just going to jump in and help anyway.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know where this "we" is coming from.
Okay. Well, I have a pet project anyways. Thanks for letting me share it with you guys and increasing my scope a little bit.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everybody out there and for joining us. Remember to like, comment, share, and just generally make James's life more difficult by adding more crazy features.
It'll be wonderful. Thanks everyone. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.